What's happening? Welcome to the Pleasure Points Podcast. I'm your host, James Rohr. Thanks for coming to this TED Talk. We're continuing our conversation about body parts and imbalances. So today we're going to be talking about shoulder pain, elbow pain, and hand pain. It's a bit of a shotgun approach, just throwing a lot of things out there, hitting you with a fire hose of information. Take notes, save the episode, spread the love to people that that might be dealing with some of these things, that are open to exploring some of the interconnectedness of all the things, recognizing that your body is part of a fantastical web and isn't just a machine to be tinkered with, so that we can approach these things with love. So thank you guys, as always, for being here. I hope you enjoy the show. Without further ado, here we go. Woo, Anchovy rides again. Yes, here we are. We are recording. We by we. Who is we? Like the collective we, me and myself. Jen's not here. She's out of town. So it's me and Anchovy. I guess Anchovy will be a proper noun enough so that together we are we. Here we are. Nearby from where we are right now is a garden bed that I put together and made over the weekend, which was great. And I learned something along the way. So I was using to build a garden bed. I was researching, as one does, and actually I got the idea from it on TikTok. TikTok, apparently, at least my feed on TikTok, is full of like crazy amount of information and life hacks. It started off, it used to just be like stupid dancing and whatever. And now it's like there's like so much valuable information that's condensed into like 2 or 3 minute clips. It's amazing. So anyway, I saw someone on TikTok who was making a garden bed out of these concrete corner blocks. I forget what they're called, but they've got like 4 slots on each side, where on one slot on each side for a total of 4, that you can slide a 2x6 piece of wood in and build your garden bed, your raised bed, and you can stack them and whatever. And I thought it was cool, but I was like, okay, let me do a little research beyond the TikTok video and see what the interwebs has to say about it. And I landed on a website, the New York Times, where this writer was talking about how he built a garden using the same blocks. And coincidentally enough, like 2 or 3 of his coworkers also had that happen. And they just all shared their experiences very jolly. And for some reason, this made me think of my sister, because she's like a researcher, and I know she's a pretty avid reader of the New York Times. And I told her that, there was just something about the article that made me think of her, and I sent it to her. And I also said that, there was something about that article that just was totally like unsettling to me. It was this combination of like almost getting way too excited about something that like maybe you shouldn't be that excited about, and also like over the top pretentious. It was really like just kind of aggravating. And apparently it comes from the part of the New York Times called Wirecutter. I guess it's like a whole section. I knew nothing about it. And my sister sent me a McSweeney's like satire piece of it, which was absolutely hysterical. There's a McSweeney's, you can Google it. McSweeney's talks about a review for like a humidifier, and it's hysterical. But my sister was like absolutely appalled that I had no idea what Wirecutter was. She's like, how do you buy anything without consulting Wirecutter? I was like, oh my gosh, after this one thing, I don't know, like I think I could live a totally happy life never reading anything from Wirecutter again. But it was like, this is probably why it's so wildly successful, is because as annoying as I found that article to be, it was precisely the thing that gave me the confidence and the encouragement to like go ahead and give it a try. And it can't be that hard. And so, once again, I'm sort of mired in this consumerism. They're just all consumers and open to suggestions and all the things. So let me know. Do you guys read Wirecutter? Is this like a thing? Is this something that you consult often before making purchases? I had never heard of it before. And like I said, I'd probably be pretty content if I never read anything from them again. But sounds like it's a whole thing, enough for McSweeney's to make fun of it. So if you have great Wirecutter articles or other mockumentaries about Wirecutter, please send them over to the show. Anyway, moving along. So yes, our garden is in full effect. attempting to grow all sorts of lettuce and kale and tomatoes, and we'll see. Hopefully the squirrels, we have like bird feeders back here, so hopefully the squirrels are content just pillaging our bird feeder instead of attacking the garden bed, and we'll see what happens. So, okay, what I want to do now is continue on with looking at some of the ailments in the body and what that can look like as far as some of the emotions or things to consider while you're having this discomfort. I've certainly seen it where the pain and the discomfort can go away once, we've shined a light on some of the emotional or spiritual or, subconscious subtext or whatever that's going on in here. I don't know. This is just stuff I find interesting. And, I guess when you work on the body all the time and you're like treating your patients and treating your clients like dynamic human beings that they are, instead of just like machines that have very particular parts that can either be taken out or, cut or shaved or removed or whatever. And you're looking, okay, what is the entire context in which, this imbalance is occurring? It's like you just start to, at least for me, my mind is started to look for different connections and paying attention to, as the old Chinese medicine book says, paying attention to the web that has no weaver, all of these little ties and things that bind and pull on us and our energy and what that can do. So today we're going to start with the shoulders and see how long that takes to get us through it. So when we're talking about shoulder pain, the image that comes to mind for this and for my kind of understanding energetically and emotionally what we're talking about is in Chinese medicine, they have this saying that, man or human is in the middle of heaven and earth. And in this image, there's like a qigong pose where the person is standing on the ground and their arms are outstretched completely over their head and their palms are turned facing upward. So this is a very important image to get in your mind as I'm explaining like the energetics of the shoulder as it occurs to me. So again, it's a person standing on the ground. Their arms are stretched out directly above overhead and their palms are turned upward. And the idea there, as I see it, is the heavenly energy, this kind of fatherly heavenly energy comes down from above and it enters in through our hands, through our palms, and it's able to travel down, through the body, traveling down the arm into the shoulders and then eventually into the trunk. Meanwhile, we've got the feet that are pulling the energy up from the earth and it comes, higher up, and then there's like a mingling of energies where you've got this divine heavenly father energy and then this divine earth mother energy coming up. And then it creates this kind of, like almost like a Tai Chi symbol, the yin yang symbol in the body. So when I'm looking at someone who has shoulder pain, oftentimes their shoulder pain makes it very difficult for them to reach above their heads. Makes it challenging for them to, be able to fully extend up toward the heavens. So one of the things that I would encourage you or, anyone that that has shoulder pain to consider, if they're open to this kind of mixing of mind, body, spirit, is, what is their connection to this divine heavenly energy? Where might they be blocking the receiving of this divine celestial energy, vibe, guidance, right? This connection. Where might they be, specifically resisting this connection to a higher power, to something that is greater than them? Where might they say to themselves that I have to do it on my own? And so if we're going to sum up shoulder pain in kind of one sentence, or there's one thing to look at, which would be, do you have to do it on your own? Or to take a look at your life. Where in your life do you say that you have to do things all by yourself? And the other image that comes to mind for me with shoulder pain is Atlas, who's literally carrying the world on its back. And, without being able to get, for Atlas, without Atlas being able to get his arm above his head and, behind his back, he's not able to carry the world. And so there's an opportunity here to look at, like, okay, where do you feel like you're carrying the world? Where do you feel like you're doing it all on your own? where might you be able to ask for help? Where might you be able to ask for support? Because if you've got a frozen shoulder, if you've got, you know, a labrum tear, any number of shoulder things, right? There can be a blockage of that energy. You may feel like you've had to do it all on your own. And now that you're not able to lift your arms above your head or have that same kind of range of motion or do the push-ups or whatever, there might be all sorts of inner judgment that's happening about, you know, being not good enough. Nothing is going to work right. You know, your workout routine is going to fail. You know, you can't do your workout routine anymore. Therefore, you know, like it's inevitable. You're going to gain all sorts of weight, and everything you've worked for is now being compromised, and like on and on and on down that rabbit hole. So, that's like, you know, that's like the main thing that I would encourage you to look at. Now, it can be broken down. There's all sorts of other things that are going on with the shoulder pain. There's several different meridians that can flow through there in Chinese medicine. But for me, what I've seen time and time again is like this idea of having to do things on my own and not being able to accept help, not being able to let that world roll off of Atlas's back and to be able to, you know, just be. So, you know, for essential oils, what I love for here, obviously Deep Blue is a great pain rub. We talked about that last week with neck pain. I like Balance, and then of course frankincense. Frankincense is absolutely great to help us. It's got that kind of that fatherly vibe to it. This, you know, the oil of kings, and you know, the oil, one of the oils that was given to baby Jesus, and you know, it's like it has this religious context to it. There's this like sacredness to it that I think works really, really well when we're trying to reestablish that connection of receiving, of knowing our place is like in between heaven and earth, right? We aren't necessarily heaven. We aren't the earth. It's our chance to dance and to be here between heaven and earth and to receive the energies that come from all different directions. And so with shoulder pain, this is something to look at. Now, one of the things that I find interesting also about shoulder pain is that, you know, I think there's a surgeon, I can't remember his name, but his whole premise, he's a shoulder surgeon, but his whole premise is like, we evolved from the apes, and, you know, apes would swing from trees, and we don't swing from trees much anymore. We don't hang as much as we used to. And so one of the best things you can do for shoulders is to get more mobility in the joints, and that's to like stretch the joint to get some traction. So hanging to whatever level that you can is going to be great. So if you're young and more agile, right, you can use a pull-up bar or monkey bars. Otherwise, having like holding a weight in your hand and letting it swing down below you as a way to get traction. You know, I like to do 100 swings clockwise, 100 swings counterclockwise, and all of that to help open up the shoulder joint, because so many of the problems of shoulder pain happen because it starts to get tight. We don't keep using the full range of motion. So then there can be adhesions, right? That's where like frozen shoulder comes from. There's like a little bit of pain, so we don't go that far anymore. And then there's a little bit more pain. And then eventually you just keep limiting and limiting your shoulder range of motion, and then everything locks up. So trying to, you know, like get more range of motion in the shoulder is going to be huge. And we can do that by getting traction, by allowing yourselves to hang. And there's something about, you know, with the shoulder that it's the most unstable joint in the body, because the body is going to sacrifice stability for range of motion. So unlike the knee, which is like a simple hinge joint and is super strong, the shoulder requires a very dynamic coordination between a bunch of different muscles for everything to work really well. And so again, for me, even when you look at it from that anatomical standpoint, it still come back to this place of like, where is the tension? Where is my desire to like do things on my own, inhibiting everything working well, right? So like, where might my tension, where might my needing to do things by myself be interrupting the potential harmony of like the entire community working together, or the entire family working well together, or your office working well together? Where might, you know, your need to do things the way that you think they should be done, rather than in this kind of divine flow, be interfering with not just your own shoulders, but with the flow of, you know, the whole kind of community or dynamics that are going on in your life. So that's what I like for shoulder pain. So now we're going to just continue with the rest of the arm here. So the next one is going to be elbows. Most elbow injuries are repetitive use injuries. So like things like tennis elbow or elbow and even golfer's elbow, most of these things are going to be repetitive use injuries. And when we look at the anatomy of the elbow, I'm just going to, obviously, all of these things can be broken down more and more and more. But looking at the majority of elbow injuries are going to be on the outside of the elbow, like what's called typically tennis elbow. Looking at the anatomy there, what you've got is, all of the muscles in a lot of the muscles on the outer forearm, they all kind of combine to a tendon that then pulls on a very particular place. That's where those braces can help, that really compress the forearm, because it helps to spread out the pull to disperse it from just that one point on the elbow where you get that tear of the forearm, of the tendons. And so, you might ask yourself, like, are you thinking too narrowly? Are you thinking too narrowly about something in your life? Or how is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again getting in the way of that free flow of energy? So to put it another way, it could be something like elbow pain oftentimes is like the body communicating to you something like this belief that everything needs to be just like this, that like you've got to do it over and over and over again without any sort of inflexibility. And again, because it's part of that conduit of that whole receiving of that divine fatherly energy, there is the similar theme of like, are you open to this kind of divine guidance? Are you open to being flexible? Are you open to being adaptable? And the lateral elbow pain oftentimes is saying to us, like, no, we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And like, this is how it needs to be done. I'm not open to consulting or considering another way. This is just what it is. So this kind of analysis, even for someone who has elbow pain, can be met with a lot of resistance, because they're just so focused on like, they're like, no, this is how it's done. This is what we do. And like, there isn't even room to consider that there might be an emotional or energetic, thing that's going on here, right? It's all just like, everything is like cut and dry, and this is what it is. Meanwhile, like acupuncture, and especially moxibustion tend to be really, really good on the elbow pain. I've had several clients over the years who were scheduled for surgery for their tennis elbow, that a few treatments with some acupuncture, moxibustion, some essential oils, and even a little bit of soft tissue work. And of course, this kind of conversation of addressing, okay, well, what else is going on in your life? What else is happening? What is the context in which this elbow pain is happening? So if you're having that elbow pain, right, it's like, where in your life do you tend to do things the same way over and over and over again? And what is the impact that doing the same thing over and over again is having on yourself, on your energy, on your diet, on your exercise, and also on the people around you? Because we're all in this thing together. And, just having a very sort of kind of myopic or narrow look at, how things are affecting you might be missing the point, right? Sometimes our pain and suffering, or, challenges, the resistance, isn't so much necessarily about like directly about us, as much as it is like, what is the impact that we're having on our community? And are we open to doing things a little bit different way? Are we open to having more flexibility so that everyone in the entire ecosystem can thrive? Awesome. So now let's talk about the hands. So one of the cool things, I was an archaeology major and anthropology major at school, in college at Stanford. And one of the things that stands out as like the things that like really separate humans and human ingenuity is the opposable thumb. And so with the hands, in that image of, the hands reaching up, that's the first contact for that divine energy, right? It's like, even before it hits like the seventh chakra, that energy would come down and be received by the hands. And the hands are, the dexterity that we have in the hands is everything to do with our ability to create and to make things, and, to be dexterous, whether you're, doing carpentry or writing or painting or whatever. It's having that opposable thumb that makes so much of the difference in our ability to navigate the world. And so when we're looking at this in terms of these questions, one of the things that I'll ask when it comes to hands is like, am I creating in alignment with God? Am I creating in alignment with the flow of the universe? Am I creating with with this humility? Am I feeling, am I sensing, am I touching with divine intention? Or am I just going through the motions? Am I not being adaptable? Am I being numb? Am I being am I not paying attention? Or, am I approaching things with reverence? Am I approaching the act of creation with joy, with humility, with gratitude? Because anyone that's had hand pain knows that, when the hands are affected, it's difficult, it's challenging, it's annoying, it's frustrating, it can be scary. Can't grip things, can't open, jars the way you used to. The whole way that we navigate our world can be really thrown upside down over something as simple as or seemingly simple as hand pain and finger pain. And so there is something also about, in Chinese medicine that says that in the hands, the further away you get from the trunk of the body, the faster the energy flows. So as we get to the toes and the fingertips, the energy becomes very fast. The energy, the polarities can change very quickly. We've got the transference of yin to yang and the yang to yin that happen in the fingers and the toes. And the energy just gets more shallow, right? It's the tissue gets less and less. It's, it's not hard to imagine. If you stick your fingernail into the edge of your finger bed, of another nail bed versus into your glutes, the sensation there is different because the energy really rises to the surface of the fingertips. And so that also comes to mind of sometimes hand pain can be asking us what's moving too fast in my life that I feel the need to slow down. And for me, those two questions with that, along with the creation, those go hand in hand. Am I creating an alignment with the divine? Am I creating an alignment with my purpose? Am I creating an alignment with, with harmony with all things? And if I'm not, then I need to slow down. That things are going too fast. I have to slow down. I have to reevaluate. I've got to take a look at this. And so hand pain is really focused on that. Now, when we break down, we can look at each of the fingers. This is obviously getting really detailed here. But in Chinese medicine, the meridians are connected to certain emotions, and those meridians will flow to the fingers and to the toes. So I'm going to throw these in here real quick. But it's, again, none of this stuff is hard and fast. It's all just ideas to explore. So the thumb is going to be oftentimes pertaining to grief, or the emotion of grief, but obviously thumb pain has a lot to do with our creation, the creative abilities. But it could also be are you, grieving the loss of something? Are you grieving the loss of what you used to create, or of what you thought you were going to create in life, or what you thought you should create? So when there's thumb issues, a lot of times it's valuable to focus on the emotion of grief there. And of, what were you, what might you be feeling the loss of? The index finger is going to be connected to our ability to let go of things that no longer work for us. So if you're hoarding, if you're constipated, if you tend to cling onto things, the index finger can be involved there. The middle finger has a lot to do with protecting our hearts. So any threats to intimacy, and our core beliefs about love and joy and any sort of feelings of being inadequate or not deserving love, all of that can be connected to the middle finger. The fourth finger is going to be connected to our ability to process change. So if you have been going through a lot of change and maybe you've been ignoring that, you haven't been honoring that, you haven't given yourself time to reflect on the changes that are happening and what's been going on in your body, the fourth finger, the ring finger, can be calling your attention to that. And then the pinky finger is going to be connected to the heart. And so in Chinese medicine, the heart is considered the emperor. Everything, all sort of feelings, emotions, desires, all that stuff is mediated in some way, shape, or form with the heart. And so with the pinky finger, it can be connected to our intimacy, our relationships. The outside of the pinky finger can have even more to do with sorting out issues that are important for the heart. Do you tend to focus on the wrong things? Are you scanning someone's Instagram? Are you looking at the who's watched your stories? Are you putting a lot of attention on to those things that just don't really need that, right? You kind of know deep down that you're focusing on the wrong things, or things that aren't really productive, things that are more distractions than actually tending to what's going on in your heart. We can see a lot of the stuff like that manifesting with pinky pain. So there you have it. So with the there's all sorts of different essential oils there, like the pinky finger. Your rose oil is going to be great. The thumb and grief, is going to be, lungs is really going to be excellent. The index finger and this idea of letting go and what you're holding on to. It could be a lot of things. Oregano comes to mind right now as something that can help us to let go and to purge that stuff that we've been holding on to. The middle finger that is, helping, that's connected to like keeping us protected. Geranium can be a good oil for that. And then the fourth finger to help process change. I love Adaptive. The doTERRA Adaptive Blend is tremendous there too. So, of course, there's lots of oils and lots of treatments and lots of things that can be done there. But hopefully you guys find this stuff interesting because I'm doing it anyway. So thank you for spreading the love on these episodes and sharing your stories of, what's coming up for you, if any of this stuff has been helpful. As always, you can find me on Instagram at James E. Rohr, and you can email the show pleasurepointspodcast@gmail.com. And have a blessed week. Hopefully you can flow through any resistance that happens easily and with an open heart and kindness. And I'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.